So do you remember NFTs, non-fungible tokens that took the world by storm last year's investors bought up unique drawings of monkeys, Reddit avatars, and pixelated characters? Seemed like almost everybody was making an NFT or buying one. Now, what has gone up has come down. Trading volumes have fallen off a cliff since the highs of 2022. Our next guest, though, remains bullish. Matthew Hogan is Chief Investment Officer at Bitwise Asset Management. Now, you are an interested person in this sector. You do own crypto assets. But the argument for NFTs was you now have these unique digital items that exist basically on the internet, only digital, that have some sort of value. Why did the bloom come off the rose so significantly?
That's a great question. Thanks for having me on. I think you have to think of that first generation of NFTs as almost a proof of concept. The CryptoPunks, the Bored Apes, as you mentioned, those were essentially collectibles, digital drawings that people would collect like they might collect Andy Warhol's, soup cans. And they had a spectacular run up and they've settled into a nice middle age. But what we're excited about at Bitwise about NFTs is about what the technology represents. That proof of concept showed you could have digital property rights that you could move around the world for the first time in history. And now we're seeing a blossoming of sort of Gen 2 real world applications of that capability. Those first generation ones are still interesting, but of course, trading volumes have come down. But we're excited about what's going on in the rest of the NFT ecosystem.
So what's an example of that next generation that's getting some momentum?
Yeah. Absolutely. So you could take a company like Nike, which has done $200 million of NFT revenue, allowing individual users to design their own digital apparel and digital sneakers, and striking agreements with gaming companies like EA Sports that will allow them to bring those unique items into a video game setting. That's another early example of how this technology of digital property rights can be applied into the quote unquote real world. And it's not just Nike. You see companies like Starbucks embracing NFTs as a new rewards platform, Ticketmaster experimenting with NFTs. Again, when you see the word NFT, don't think about a bored monkey. Think about digital property rights, and that is a massive idea that's going to shape technology for the next 5, 10, and 20 years.
Is it one that will lead to value creation, though, for investors? It might be a way to kind of have that digital copyright, and that would work well for companies. But if you're a retail investor who's used to treating, quite frankly, the crypto market like a casino, is that something that is going to generate any kind of shareholder return or investor return?
Yeah, fantastic question. I think with the speculative end of NFTs, you have to be very careful. Those are hugely volatile, and you have to be willing to risk any money you put into that space. There are other ways to profit on this more broad Gen 2 NFT growth, probably the easiest of which is to own Ethereum, which is the crypto asset that allows the Ethereum blockchain to function. And many of these Gen 2 NFTs are imprinted and traded and sort of custodied on the Ethereum blockchain or layer 2 solutions. So investors can profit on the growth of Gen 2 NFTs by looking at the infrastructure, which is Ethereum. I would also add these companies like Nike that are at the forefront of using this technology to monetize their IP. That may be another interesting way to look at investing in this space.
We have seen, you mentioned Ethereum. Ethereum has rallied significantly since the beginning of the year, along with Bitcoin. And I just think about, I feel like we're still searching for ways to make these two things relevant to our everyday lives. I mean, AI and generative AI, it's right there. It's plain as day. That's what ChatGPT did. The everyday person can understand it. I understand that there's certain game-changing natures of the way this technology functions that's never been done before, but we're still struggling, aren't we, to find broad use cases?
Great question. I think with Bitcoin, we know what its broad use case is. I think it's trying to be digital gold, and it will play the same role in our day-to-day lives that gold plays in the role of the day-to-day lives of more established investors. So it's emerging into that space. I think that's what it will be long term. I agree with you on Ethereum. We're still looking for the mass common use case that everyone gets, that my parents get, that my uncles get, that my friends get, that they're using every day. What we've seen so far is some amazing proofs of concept. The idea of digital property rights, the idea of digital exchanges, digital lending programs, DeFi, stable coins, but they are still at that early demonstration stage. So we know they can work, and now they have to scale and penetrate the real world. I suspect that will happen within the next 2 or 3 years. And the question for investors is, do you want to get in after that occurs, or do you want to position ahead of it? And it's always uncomfortable, but we like positioning ahead of the growth that we see coming.
In that vein, there's a lot of questions about what's going to happen on the regulatory side. You know, BlackRock kind of about face is now all in on crypto. They want a Bitcoin ETF. You think that's going to get the green light?
I think there's a reasonable chance that we'll get a spot Bitcoin ETF in the US. Of course, in Canada, you've had them for multiple years. And more broadly, we're excited about the progress we're seeing in the US Congress about getting the US aligned with other nations around the world in having a firm framework for how crypto should operate. So the trend on crypto regulation and legislation is moving to the right and up. It's not a perfect path. It's definitely volatile, but we are seeing progress, and BlackRock coming in is just such a huge endorsement of this space. The world's largest asset manager saying that crypto, blockchain, Bitcoin will revolutionize the way finance works. That's a pretty big deal.
What will it mean for the price of Bitcoin?
Well, obviously, long term, I'm very bullish on the price of Bitcoin. I think we've entered a new 3-year, 4-year bull market in crypto. I think we're going to set new all-time highs. I don't suspect that will happen this year. We've already come up a lot. There's likely some volatility ahead. But for investors who are looking multiple years out and can handle the risks, I think there's a good possibility we're going to see a nice run in Bitcoin, in Ethereum, and in crypto more broadly.